Hello guys, this is Ben in Parts here, back at you with episode 10 of the Cryptid cast, where we discuss cryptids, I break down their sightings, their possibilities, what they could be, what they resemble, and today we've got an absolute treat. We've got the Van Meter monster, a cryptid that was not only confirmed to be part of a species, because there was two of them, but in my opinion very closely resembles a pterosaur with some terrifying extraterrestrial traits. It seems very much like an alien, but at the same time there's also something rather demonic about it. So let's get started. The story today begins in the small, quiet farming community of Van Meter in Iowa in the early 1900s, specifically in 1903. There were just about 1,000 people back then. There's only about 2,000 now, and it's one of those close-knit rural settlements where everyone knows everyone knows everyone else's business. But there's some other business that people would prefer to have not known, because in September 1903, a new visitor would come to the town and they wouldn't exactly be welcome as a neighbour. On September 29th of 1903, local businessman U.G. Griffith was returning home from work about 1 a.m, and he spotted a strange light moving around on top of a building on Main Street. This obviously intrigued him. This is 1903, there aren't aeroplanes flying around, there aren't helicopters, so he thought, what on earth could this be? As he walked over to see, the light suddenly vanished. Then it reappeared on the roof of another building just across the street, and then disappeared again. The exact source of the light remained unclear, but Griffith knew it was something strange. And he was right to know, because the following evening, Dr. Fred Alcott was startled awake in his room above his office because there was a blinding light shining through his window. Grabbing his gun, he rushed outside to confront what he thought was the burglar. And to his shock, he saw that the light was coming from a horn from the forehead of a winged creature 8 feet tall that looked like a pterosaur and shot an intense bright light down from its horn. He fired 5 shots point blank into it, but the bullets had no effect on the 8-foot beast, and it simply flew away and vanished. And once again, since the Van Meter monster had flown around, and it was a small close-knit town, rumour and talk was beginning to spread, especially after 2 separate encounters. And this time, Clarence Dunn saw it. This time, however, he was ready. He'd heard about Dr. Alcott's experience. We don't know if he'd heard about Dr. Griffith's, though, but he had nonetheless decided to keep watch throughout the night and see what he could see. He was posted in the bank, and he brought his shotgun along just in case the creature was a threat, or just in case he could bag it for evidence. He believed that it was probably burglars, as with the case with the light coming through the window, who were scouting the area out. But at the same time, just in case it was something interesting, he wanted to be ready. Previously, the monster had been silent, but this time what was heard was something that was a noise resembling strangling outside his house, and that pushed him to investigate, because it wasn't a light shining this time, it was the noise. Almost instantly, when he went to open the door, he was hit at close range in the face by a blinding light once again, and it came from the Van Meter monster. Dunn, of course, immediately fired his shotgun at this creature right through the front window of the bank, but the shots had absolutely no effect whatsoever. And the next morning outside of the bank, he claimed he saw multiple 3-toed footprints. Footprints a bit like a pterosaur's and a bit like the Jersey Devils, and he claims that he made casts of them, but these casts have never been found or proven to have existed. And then more sightings happened throughout the ensuing days. One included O.V. White, the owner of a hardware store, who saw the monster, he claims, asleep on a telegraph pole and tried to shoot at it as well. And this time, it also, just like the other times, was ineffective. Interestingly, however, as well this time, the monster seemed to either try and threaten him, intimidate him, or express its disgust by releasing a horrible smell towards him that immediately put him off. And it gets even better, because Mr. White's neighbour, Sidney Gregg, also saw the creature at the same time, and he saw it take off from the pole, fly through town, and head toward the old coal mine. It's very fascinating how the creature seemed already to have a base of operations, and the people from the town started to think so too, because after 3 days of their town being visited by their unwelcome new neighbour, they got their guns and headed out toward the mine to investigate. Strange noises were coming out of the mine, and they assumed, rightly, that it lived there. When they got to the mine, they found the Van Meter monster, or Van Meter visitor, was not alone at all. And there was a second with it, so there were at least a pair. And they would come out from the mine and take off, return from the mine. Before they could confront them, though, they both flew off. I don't know if they saw them or if they anticipated they were there, but they flew off. The townspeople, however, were crafty. They decided to wait a while to see if the creatures came back, because assuming this was their base of operations, their nest, their lair, they naturally would do so. And of course they eventually did. And you might be thinking, are these creatures stupid? Are they dumb? No, because they knew that the crowd were unable to resist them. And it was right. The crowd opened fire on these creatures, and the bullets grazed off them. They didn't have any kind of effect. They didn't even perturb them. They flew into the mine. They didn't even look at the crowd. They didn't seem bothered by them. They just went about their business. The crowd at this point made a very good decision, however, which checked the monsters. They were unsure how to handle these Van Meter monsters or Van Meter visitors, because all the firepower they had back then, which back then was considerable, had done nothing. They hit it with everything they had. They hit it with their shotguns, with their rifles, nothing. These creatures were ineffective in terms of being killed by gunfire. So they thought, we'll block up the mine. And that's exactly what they did. They blocked up the mine with planks, they blocked it up with debris, and there were never any sightings of the Van Meter monster again. It's not sure what happened to it. Maybe they were a species and these two were merely trapped in the mine and starved to death. Maybe they found another way out of the mine and moved elsewhere. Maybe this was the sole pair and they either died in the mine or got away and moved elsewhere and died somewhere else. But isn't it fascinating how the Jersey Devil, supposed to be the child of a demon and a human, behaved in very same way as the Meter monster? It behaved in a very, very similar way indeed. Horrible smells, evil demonic presence, unsettling sightings, three-clove footprints. It's incredible how similar they are. But what could the Van Meter monster be? When I look at it, it honestly looks like a pterosaur. And I don't just mean pterosaur as a joke. It looks like a pterodactyl. It has the wings of a pterodactyl, the feet of a pterodactyl, the long beak. But at the same time, it emits a foul smell either as a deterrent or as a means of offence. And it has a blindingly bright light that also creates offence by shining intensely brightly at people. It's not clear if this light is used to lure in prey or if it's used to reconnoitre and scout, but either way, it doesn't appear like the Van Meter monster was ever hostile, in the sense that it was anything more than unsettling. It never conducted attacks against the natives. It never tried to scare the natives that we know of. It never tried to swoop down and bite them. It just seemed to be doing its thing. It seemed to be curious about the area and sniffing it out. It didn't seem like it wanted to hurt them per se. It seemed like when it did act, in terms of its smell, it was acting in self-defense. But either way, the people were very scared of it, they were intimidated by it, they probably thought it was something demonic, and they blocked it up. And it could have been something demonic. It could have been a djinn, aka a genie, aka a nature spirit, aka a spirit guide, a shape-shifting creature of the unseen, which doesn't exist in the same world we do, and had moved to the area out of curiosity, hoping to settle there, and instead was driven away. It could have been a relic pterodactyl, although I'm not sure about this because a lot more of them would have to exist for it to be one of those. Or it could simply, as many people think, be an alien. Some people have said that because of its shining light, its glowing eyes, its strange behaviour, its immunity from bullets, it could very well be an alien creature. And if it was an alien creature and it came to Earth to settle or to meet with the locals, it certainly didn't face a very good reception, and nor did it give a very good one. But what do you guys think? Do you know anyone in the area who's seen one of these? Do you know anyone who knows of one of these? Do you know of anyone who had relatives who saw it? Have you heard any stories or had any sightings yourself? Please drop those down in the comments. It really helps me. And above all, please like the video and leave a comment. It helps me tremendously in the algorithm. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow it very big, and I want to make some very in-depth details on cryptozoology in the future, as well as multiple other things. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you for episode 11.